What's happening? What's happening? Benton here. I looked at the StreamYard wrong on the phone and it kicked us out. That's all right. Made the delivery earlier, cruised about 40 minutes to the pickup and got loaded right away. And now we are on the next episode. Headed to Alabama. Not going to make it that far today, though. Oh, yeah. Hang on, we got a situation. Bear with me. All right. Situation averted. Might be able to make it all the way back to that truck stop we stopped at last night. Well, actually, not last night for the 34-hour restart in Kentucky, but this says 5 hours and 16-minute drive time, 313 miles. I've got 5:34 on the clock. So we might lay up 230 miles total. So we'll see. Make that decision once we get a little closer. It's city traffic right now. So we can't see, but well, I guess you got to take my word for it. Or don't. Where are we? Findlay, Ohio, perhaps? Somewhere like that. Light load, I think we're about 12,000 pounds. Last one was light too. Also, I still had trouble getting up the hills. Nah, it was closer to 25,000, I want to say. Shout out to the chat. Hope everybody's doing good. Not quite sure what we will be discussing. I was glancing at the news headlines while I was in line at the shipper office. Back yonder. It's the second time I've picked up at that same shipper, so I guess we work with them quite a bit. 25 miles an hour through here. I don't speed through town. Did quite a bit of speeding in Cincinnati. The rush hour traffic. No slowdowns, though. No big backups or anything. That was nice. Let me see where they're routing us to. Hang on. Where are we going? Okay. They sent me, the GPS sent me all through the country earlier, and one of them was there was a bridge that was 30 tons maximum. And if I hadn't been empty, we would have been overweight. Some challenging turns here. Tight turns, challenging tight turns. I'll try not to run the curbs over if possible. All right, we made it. We made it. Yeah, looking at the headlines, the economic news continues to intensify. And lest we forget, the function of the economy is to make rich people richer every moment into perpetuity, and it never fails to achieve its purpose. So anytime you hear in this economy or just all of this economic news, remember that. But I do. It's interesting to follow the news, the trade war, and such. And who knows what that will portend for uh, common Americans such as myself. Well, I'm uncommon, but you know what I mean. The proletariat, as it were. College First, Church of God. I wonder what sort of wickedness goes down in that building. More more wickedness than godliness, I suspect. What do y'all think? Well, the way that car was hanging out, I think they were hoping I'd hit them. Get them a check. All right, 1 mile till the interstate. 75 south. Am I here? Yep, still here. What up, Christos? I'm so far out of the loop in these truth or verse panels. I can't make heads or tails out of it. I tried to take a look at Truth or Cops replay. Couldn't make heads or tails out of it. I guess that's for the best. I've ascended. Ha, ha, ha. Tongue in cheek. Not all the way. We got, who knows what further levels of ascension awaits? Who can say? Got the Chevrolet High Country duly dually pickup truck in front of us. That's 100,000, right? It looks like you got him a custom wheel and tire package on there. Yeah, he does. The big exhaust, that's probably a diesel. Turbo diesel. Yeah, 100. That's definitely over 100,000 for a pickup truck. And somebody could have a $50,000 Mercedes, and he would act like they're highfalutin putting on airs, and his truck costs twice as much. Perception is a funny thing. Hey, there's the super center. Got my groceries yesterday. I'm sure I could use a thing or two, though. Our chair. $0.55 a mile. We're making that money. Come on, why? Now we got one sitting on us already. Go on by. You're blocking me. There you go. There you go. I might need to make a lane change. Toots. Pioneer Sugar, locally grown, locally owned. No tariffs there, right? I saw an article, news article, and again, probably just made up, but some guy owns and operates a dairy farm, I believe it was, general vicinity of Buffalo, New York, which is real close to the Canadian border up there. Talking about he gets grain to feed to cows out of a Canadian feed mill, and said he had like 1,400 tons or whatever it is. Can't remember exactly. 1,400, whatever unit of measure delivered, and they just tacked on a tariff. And then he said that he's got a contract with whoever he sells the milk to. But then he's wondering, is it even legal? Because there's a contract in place, right? Can they, it, can the Canadian feed mill just tack on the tariff? It's like, I don't know, man. I guess get a lawyer and find out. But if he can do it, if they can do it to him with a contract, can't he do that to the people that buy his milk? But then, maybe he's worried that they will not want to buy his milk anymore. Versus Canadian feed mill might say, "Fuck it, we'll just sell it to somebody in Canada." Because the media's at least putting out the idea that Canada's kind of getting sick of America, right? Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. Does it even matter? That's dead. That's dead. Let's see if we can get through here now. Come on. Woo, windy. Something about it's the windiest start to a year in 50 years or something like that, I read. It's been windy, I can tell you that. All this rain, too. Crazy. I might run out of shit to say with this, the recent leveling up, spiritual leveling up. I'm way more at peace and way less annoyed by things with my new understanding. Hey, buddy, I guess I'll help you get past this since you can't quite seem to figure out how to press on the fuel pedal there. Uh-oh, entering distracted driving safety corridor. Better mind my P's and Q's. One of my favorite channels, Millennial Steam. Now he keeps talking about revolution, the proletariat revolting on account of the poor conditions and not really being able to earn a living. Many folks. How do people get by? In my view, the proletariat is incapable of revolution. And then he was talking about we this and we that. I said, man, you ain't got a we. Anytime there's we level problem solving, it's important to realize there is no such we. There is no unified block of people that can be mobilized when need be. That's not a thing. And further, the national religion is consumerism. And without them paychecks, how are they going to worship? Got to have them paychecks. And then again, it seems like the idea of revolution is predicated upon the idea that, well, eventually things will, quote, get bad enough. The implication being that at some point conditions will deteriorate to the point that people will say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Meanwhile, that's a quote from the movie Network, and it came out in 1976, damn near 50 years ago. So The way I look at it, if I can make a convincing case that, in fact, things are already bad enough and have been bad enough for quite some time, as far as I can tell, that proves that the people will not revolt when it, quote, gets bad enough. Because if it's already bad enough and they're not revolting, that leads me to believe they'll put up with anything, as we saw during the fake pandemic. They will put up with anything, these people. And me too, to some extent. To some extent. Exit 111, Armstrong Air and Space Museum, or something like that. If you believe they put a man on the moon. Is it still freezing? It's 34 degrees, man. What the hell is going on in this heaven or hell realm? Presently, as a dead realm of destruction. Well, it's a heaven realm inside of it. Inside of it is transforming rapidly into a heaven realm. I might just vibrate up out of here, y'all. I might just vibrate up out of here. Say, beam me up, creator. I reckon I can stick around however long I got to stick around. But I'm realizing that I'm accepting that this self-realization, that's what this is that I've leveled up into. Shout out to Paramahansa Yogananda. Wasn't that his organization? Self-Realization Fellowship, I believe. I've read some of that man's books, if he was even real. And certainly has some interesting writings on the teachings of Christ Jesus. Of course, his organization is also demonic. Paramahansa Yogananda's, being that humankind is not capable of creating and operating systems that are free from corruption. And there will be demonic forces. There will be wicked forces. There will be unclean spirits of all kinds, demonic oppression. I was demonically oppressed in my sleep last night, y'all. Quite unpleasant. Quite unpleasant. I guess that's all. That's just about all the enemy's got left to attack me in my sleep. I heard old Sanity Machine talking about that the other day. Might have been yesterday. Talking about what is sleep? Why do we sleep? Maybe that's part of the reason. Program our minds in our sleep, right? Not mine, Jack, but spiritually attack me in my sleep. That's the thing. Uh-oh, the lane's ending. I got a truck back here trying to race me to the lane ending. Got to haul ass. So he can't try to pass us at the last moment. I almost stopped at the Blue Beacon. Thankfully, I didn't, because the way this trucker parked, I had to drive all through the mud. Would have got my clean truck dirty. Boy, this wind's blowing me all over the place. Now with the one lane, most of the cones blew over. They're all laying, almost all of them laying down, facing the same direction. I guess the wind blew them down. Damn. Man, get me out of this. I hate this. Riding on that rumble strip. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's in store for me in the future. If that's part of the plan to experience the future. Anyway, all right, we're out of it now. So back to you know, the idea that humankind is unable to create and operate systems free of corruption. So that would preclude me from trying to start any kind of movement, right? Not that I would anyway, but I don't get to become some guru, right? I don't get to do that. Start a cult, and you know, is it even possible to teach another person something like self-realization? I would say no, because it's right there in the title. They've got to teach it to themselves. Now, obviously, I could help people troubleshoot, a system of their own creation. So I should say collectively. So yeah, humankind, that's a collective. So individually, it seems like individuals, if they give it their best go, are able to create systems for themselves. But what works for me won't work for somebody else because we're different. We ain't the same person. Oh, wait a minute. Now we're back to solipsism. So, in a way, I am the only being here in a certain context, in the context of various practices that have led me to something that may be self-realization. But I'm going to continue to practice. So, when exactly does the self-realized master, at what point, is that a thing? How do I know I'm there? Is that a destination, right? Or is that a continuously unfolding process until my dying breath? I don't know. Until the last beat of my heart, right? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I got to think if I'm able to demonstrate this well enough over time, maybe some other folks will say, well, shit, if old Benton can do it, I can do it. Well, I got about a 20-year head start on you. But then again, I've noticed much of the so-called truth community seems to credit themselves for having achieved a great deal of progress spiritually when I'm not sure that's the case. When I'm not sure that's the case. What up, slow boy? Slow boy, white bread. What's happening? Somebody wrote Jesus on the barn over there on the roof, but it's kind of faded right about now. Oh, man. I'm not sleepy, but I'm yawning. What's up with that? Relaxed, I guess. Uh-oh. Easy. Now it says 4 hours and 32 minutes to the truck stop. And I got 5:05 on the drive time. We might make it there. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, there's the truck wash. I almost pulled in there on my way to the pick. I'm glad I didn't, by the way. They got me in and out real quick. That might not have been the case if I had not gone directly to the pickup. And I've been up here before in the past, but I never ran up here on 75, all the time or anything. But seems to me like the truck traffic is down. I know on 40 there's still a lot of trucks, but nothing like I remember in the past in Arkansas. Damn, y'all. Thought y'all was passing. They're slowing me down now. Come on, Carter. Carter Express in front of me. Come on, Carter. Let's get moving. I'll let this super trucker behind me, I'm going to let him pass. Let super trucker get around first. That's what he wants to do. Like he's local grain hauler or something. Some kind of agricultural products. Now the fucking straight truck caught up to us. Come on now. Y'all are lollygagging. Trying to get somewhere. Oh, it's a bull hauler. Never mind. Y'all always let the bull haulers get around. Yeah, it's a bull hauler. I think he's empty though.
Reduce speed. Please reduce speed. Please reduce speed. Please reduce speed. Reduce speed.
Well, if y'all got any topics, I guess throw them at me. I don't know what else to say at this point. I'm a bit of a captive. I don't know that broadcaster is the right term, whatever we're calling this. I've been hearing a lot about the idea that China's only got like 500 million people instead of the claimed 1.4 trillion. And then, hell, I guess there's going to be a war. I mean, it's looking that way, I guess. I don't know. Hard to say. And then what's America going to do if that does happen? Because it seems to me like if America thinks there's going to be another draft, they'd have to draft the women too. The way society's going. Although with Trump back in, maybe there's been a pullback on that. But all this equality, say, well, shit. Under equality, we'd have to draft the ladies too, right? Which I'm not for that. I'm not necessarily for equality, but if a woman wants to serve, I think they should be allowed to serve. Just my opinion. And they are, as we know. Oh, man. Yawning. Catching back up to the bull hauler. There must be traffic up there. Got a little bit of decaf coffee left. I think I'll have a sip. Room temperature. Yeah, it's cold. Not too bad, though. The way all these runs are coming out, it doesn't look like I'm going to have much of an opportunity to order to the Amazon locker like I used to. So I'm not quite sure how to replenish some of my supplies. I got a pound of chicory root left. Then what next, right? I'm spoiled, man, on my egg drinks. I'm not trying to. Oh, and I'm almost out of those ginger tea packets, the little pellets with the ginger extract. Almost out of those also. More lollygagging trucks. Come on, y'all making traffic. Let's go. Trying to get to the truck stop. And then, I wonder what do, from a business standpoint, and again, virtually everything in America is a business, increasingly a big corporate business. So it makes me wonder, what does Walmart and Target, all of these corporations think of the present climate retail wise? And I think they like it. I think it's going to help them. I think it's going to help to drive even more of the smaller retailers out of business. I would imagine. I mean, why wouldn't it? And certainly Walmart, Target, and Amazon, and all of these gigantic corporations, they seem, well positioned to withstand any sort of trade wars. So, I see it a lot of this as well, the people are already suffering. See, the proletariat, the underclass, the po folks. I mean, what's a little more suffering? They're already suffering, which is, this idea that Trump was talking about, you know, something along the lines of, don't be weak and, basically let's withstand a little bit of discomfort. But it's like, yeah, I mean, already though, like people are already suffering. So in a way, he's right, you know. But then again, at the end of the day, it's only going to further embolden and strengthen and support the uh, the systems corporation, as far as I can tell. And all this corporatism, these gigantic corporations, this seems to be a relatively new phenomenon. And I was hearing something on a YouTube video, whether or not this is true, I don't know. I don't know until I confirm it for myself. But apparently, up until a certain point, businesses were not allowed to give volume discounts. Is that true? So that in a way, I guess Sam Walton's, if Henry Ford, pioneered assembly lines and all of this, was Sam Walton of Walmart and Ben and Franklin, that was his earlier Ben and Franklin 5 and dime stores. Is that what he pioneered? The buy them cheap and stack them deep. And again, I haven't confirmed it, but if that was indeed, the law said you're not able to give volume discounts, and then at a certain point, it seems like maybe maybe people just stopped doing that. Maybe people just stopped abiding by it. Right? Could be. And there's an entire drop yard full of trailers, but I was going to say they look like old trailers that aren't being used anymore, but hell, I think they're still, actually on second thought, it looks like they are being used. Or maybe they're all out of service, but the facility is still letting trucks come in and out of there to load and offload. Maybe they just don't have their own trucking company anymore, perhaps. And I don't really see any of these smaller facilities being built. Like I'll go into the industrial area near downtown in Memphis. Those are large facilities, but not like what's being built now. It seems like most of all of this newer stuff is just like these gigantic, warehouses and facilities. And not really that close to cities, it doesn't seem. Although some of them are. And then, like I was talking about with Bex the other day before last, this idea that it seems like, maybe when all of this was being built up in the post-war period, it seems to me like the powers that be seem to understand that this was temporary, as is, that's the nature. Like this is a cycle, like build it up in the 50s and the 60s into the 70s, and then, well, really probably up until the mid 60s, I guess. And then just, see it decay, see all of these facilities decay, which they are certainly, after that. Which that seems to be what's happening now. And just how much has already been left to decay, especially the idea of the Rust Belt. I'm still in Ohio and, Michigan and, all of these areas, Detroit, just, And I think it's important, just my opinion, having visited a lot of these areas, both as a truck driver and then also, it seems like when I quit my job in the past, or if I just still had thousands of dollars and then would be in some sort of depressive episode or just sort of, still trying to find peace, I guess, and figure out what next. And I like to drive. So it's, I've done a lot of driving, even, that's how I ended up in LA, by the way, before spending months in LA. And I drove all around the Rust Belt and, getting to see a lot of that up close for oneself is, it's quite instructive just because in my experience, one can't really grasp the scale of just how bombed out and depleted, you know, it's just, it's quite a sight to behold just how much territory has been left to crumble. And then, presumably I'm guessing to eventually be built up yet again, but then will that be under the present system of things, the United States government, or will that be, because it seems to me like America's already defeated. That's just my opinion. Whatever America is, if it's true, this idea of China buying up everything, whatever that means, I guess that means Chinese banking interests, supposedly. The idea that the five largest banks in the world are Chinese, if that's even true, I don't know. But eventually is just some version of an occupying force going to move into North America and then seize control of all of this land and all of these, industrial bases, former industrial bases that have been allowed to crumble. Because as we know, the American people and, the boomer generation to some extent, the NAFTA, the giant sucking sound, the idea of a service-based economy, the people allowing the manufacturing jobs to go away. Wouldn't that have been the time to stand up and fight or to stand up and revolt? Why didn't the people realize back then, well, hey, if all of this manufacturing is going away, then, how are we going to earn a living? It's like, well, I guess just they chose to buy the lie of a service-based economy. And then, then what came along? Flip this house, right? Flip this house. And what happened in the 90s, mid 90s? Oh, day trade, buy, tech stocks and the dot-com bubble. Then it was use your house as an ATM, flip this house. Again, take the equity out of one's home and live it up. Wave after wave after wave of this stuff, right? That's what I've seen. Seems like that's what we the people have lived through, right? Seems to be anyway. As far as I can tell. What do y'all think? America destroyed by design. One of the many documentaries of Alex Jones, and now they're saying maybe he's been replaced. Why not? Maybe he was Bill Hicks and he finally got to retire. Maybe he actually did die. I don't know. What up, Provo? What are the cars the worst drivers drive? That's interesting. That's a good question. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to think about that. I want to give since you asked, I want to give the best, most accurate answer I can. So I'm gonna have to think about that. Oh, looks like somebody's getting a ticket and or expected by the the State Highway Patrol, the DOT enforcement. Sorry about your luck, Bubba. It's a good question. Gonna have to give that some thought. Shout out to Provo. First on the moon, exit 111. That must be where that Armstrong Museum is. I saw the sign for a while back. If you believe they put a man on the moon, a man on the moon. I don't remember the rest of the song, so you will be spared from further singing. Hallelujah. I noticed my appetite's been picking up lately. A little bit hungrier than I have been. Yeah, I heard Provo talking about he bought him some fast food and it was disgusting. And man, I was in the truck stop earlier getting my decaf coffee, and the guy was microwaving one of them sandwiches they sell in there, and man, it was disgusting. Just the smell turned my stomach, man. Gross. So fast food is definitely way worse than it used to be. And certainly, if at one time perhaps it represented something of a value, at least at the amount of Federal Reserve notes compared to the calories, at least. And I would say that no longer seems to be the case, as far as I can tell. Raz Van, what's happening, partner? We're going 2 miles over the speed limit. There's the highway patrol, but best not to make any sudden movements. Catch their attention. All right, well, we got to pass, or get over, rather. There's a rig broke down on the side. I got this damn four-wheeler sitting right on top of me, fucking up my lane changes. Yeah, come on around there, Bubba. That's the worst place to hang out is back there. Shouldn't be there. Ought not be there. Raz Van, something about sleeping in his bed tonight. Got a London run, but it's not ready. Shame on the mess. Well, that's good to sleep in one's own bed, right? All right. We're going around. We're passing. It's old Snyder.
Reduce speed. Reduce speed.
What? I'm passing, lady. FedEx multimodal, the big shipping containers. I wonder if that's a new thing. I don't remember seeing those back when I was driving before. It's kind of old and beat up, though. Maybe that's I've just never noticed. Oh, intermodal. Entering Ohio River watershed. Now, what am I supposed to do with that information? And is it still not Easter? I thought Easter was in March. Am I? What, or does it move around or something? I don't understand. Come on, y'all, you pussyfoot. There's somebody in a Dodge Ram or in a Ram driving poorly, followed by a Lexus crossover. When Adolf Hitler supposedly designed the interstates, not sure he had some of these driving styles in mind. Oh man, mighty fine, mighty fine. All right, hold on. To plug my phone in to charge here. Charge. Shit. Shit. I will say pickup truck drivers just in general, late model pickup trucks are driven poorly quite a bit. I don't know that they're the worst though. Sadly, the worst drivers drive. I hate to say it, Provo, but jalopies. Heaps, right? Just you know, vehicles that look like they might break down any moment. You know, with perhaps an expired registration and no proof of insurance. As much as I don't want that to be the case, I suspect that is the case. Just the more beat up vehicles in general, it seems. Which, I mean, I guess it makes sense if they're driving poorly enough to crash into stuff and not even bother to get the body work done on their vehicle, right? Just keep driving anyway. Anybody on a donut, right? Pretty much anybody on a donut. Now, multiple donuts. So somebody driving a sedan with two or more donut tires. I think
Reduce speed.
probably those are the worst drivers. I'm guessing. So probably the people running the worst equipment are the worst drivers. Yeah, makes sense. Again, I would like to say with these rich folks in their Range Rovers, now some of them are certainly poor drivers, which that's probably just the pills talking, right? They've been to the eye doctor. They didn't wait. They didn't wait long enough after getting their eyes dilated or something. I don't know. I can't call it. There's a lot of mom and pop. Like there's a mom and pop, independently owned and operated, truck mechanic shop with a little truck wash built into it. So the more the economic activity falls off, uh, presumably it would directly impact such a business. The economics. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Provo. Gas station food is a whole nother level. That's very true. Yeah. Is that even food at that point? 'Cause every once in a while I get bored enough to go in the truck stop and I just read packages, somehow fantasizing that there will be something I can eat in there. There's not, other than just fruit or whatever. I guess I could have a roller dog, maybe without the bun. How many roller dogs could I digest in a given 30-day period? Probably not more than one. I'm finding less is more on the food for myself. I'm pretty hungry though.
Reduce speed.
Got a London man in the house. London man. Well, I'm running out of shit to say, I think. So I guess I'm going to go find other ways to amuse myself. Probably listen to YouTube. I mean, what else am I going to do? So appreciate y'all hanging out. Although now they're chatting in the chat. Maybe I'll stick around so they can, maybe the chatters want to chat. I mean, YouTube content is, I don't, maybe I'm burning out on it, but I'm finding less and less over time. Probably going to go ahead and maybe instead of another year of YouTube Premium, maybe I will do a year of Audible. I've done that before. I have 100 audiobooks on Audible. So maybe next paycheck I'll buy me a year of Audible. Go back to the audiobooks. Crossover. This is some poor driving I'm observing here. BMW crossover, X3 crossover. Yeah, they're driving. Oh well, no, never mind. They're taking. They just came onto the interstate, but they're immediately exiting again. So now their driving makes sense because it's in a context. Okay, never mind. So BMW crossover drivers, perhaps good drivers if we are profiling. And here comes a pickup truck. He's already driving like he thinks he's king of the road. I can already see it. King of the road. And then, I think about the post-war period, the baby boom and all of this. And, it seems like a lot of this make America great again and all of this seems to be, hearkening back to, although I did not live through it, but it seems like it harkens back to a simpler time, right? More wholesome or less unwholesome, I guess. Just maybe, less stress. A lot of re-experience or recreate those times. It seems like that would only, if that were to occur, if it's even possible, under Kaczynskiism, it would only occur to further strengthen the system and reinforce the system, to serve the system, right? In furtherance of the system. So, would that even be desirable? And then, it seems like society, we can argue that, not all of this has been actual progress, but, society does seem to be moving at least on a progression. So wouldn't that be a regression and, from certain perspectives to go back to the Ozzie and Harriet times? Because, wouldn't that come, if it's a return to like a boom time and manufacturing jobs and blue collar jobs and, the idea of the possibility of a middle class, and which I would define as, the ability to raise a family on one person's salary, right? Which typically would be the man, right? The head of the household, but could be a lady, I suppose. My grandmother managed to do it back then somehow by herself. Although generally as a, owning and operating her own small business. But what, is the culture even capable of devolving in a way? Because if I talk about this realm being all about death and destruction, then don't we get into a situation where, man, these people are fucking up bad? What is this driving? Right now, the worst drivers are driving 18 wheelers, Provo, and I'm not one of them. But I'm looking at three of them. At least two out of the three I'm looking at are driving quite poorly. One of them particularly poorly, and his whole damn trailer's leaning to the right. I wonder if he might tump over. So, in my view, it's not even possible to make America great again because, you know, it seems to me like people actually mean to go back to what seemed to be simpler times of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? Into the 70s. But then, look at the social problems of the 60s and 70s, particularly the crime of the 70s, right? And then, was the 50s even, and then into the summer of love, of course, the late 60s into the 70s. Of course, most of what we think of as the 60s was actually the 70s. But is that what we mean by make America great again? Is that we're going back to hippies and then quaaludes and disco? Is that what it is? Man, this guy he's out of his fucking mind, dude. What are you doing, sir? This is a poor showing. Truck driver. This is quite poor showing there, Warner. His truck says we keep America moving. Well, he's keeping the left lane blocked right now to absolutely no effect. By the way, come on. Now it's debatable if America was ever great. I would have to say, in certain respects, based on the dictionary definition of great, and then some would say it still is, right? And then so the idea of making America great again, isn't that at least if Trump is responsible for that slogan, and I doubt that to be the case, but isn't that sort of a tacit admission that America, at least at present, is not great, at least in certain ways? And I don't have these answers. It's I'm in a thought experiment in this moment, perhaps. Perhaps. Yeah, come on around, four wheeler. Warner's blocking the whole fucking play here. Yep, I think it's just traffic. We just hit traffic. That's all it is. So the worst drivers is anybody on a cell phone. That's the worst driver, and they drive all type of vehicles. TML in the house. Yeah, was Rome great? I don't know. I guess depending upon one's perspective, by definition of the word great. Oh heck, we got dropped out. I don't know how long I was gone, but couldn't have been too long, I don't think. Yeah, buddy. All right, I'm out of here. See y'all later.